Alright, so you've seen Dakota be prepared to be ridden with the saddle, and I've ridden her extensively bareback, and I've done some desensitizing sitting on her and having her, the saddle and everything, so I'm going to add all those things together. So you can see here, I'm just kind of moving that stirrup around, making sure she's okay with that sound. I'm going to lean over her back, make sure she's okay with the weight in the saddle, and jiggle that outside stirrup and kind of just make noise on the saddle. Put some weight on that stirrup, make sure she's okay with that, because she's not really felt that before. So she's totally used to wearing the saddle and the surcingle, but not together with the weight of a rider. So there I kind of put my weight in the stirrup, then I'm going to click her and go ahead and give her a treat here. So I'm just kind of adding those two things together. So she's used to the saddle, she's used to the rider, I'm going to put them together, and that's how I like to do it. Um, Usually in the beginning, as you've seen, I've been riding her bareback. I don't want to do too much together. Um, you can do that if you want, but I really like to do lots of work with making sure the horse is comfortable with the saddle, the surcingle, and then the saddle, and then the rider, and then putting those two together. So again, I can put some weight in the stirrup because I am going to have to use my stirrup to get on. I can kind of get on from just the mounting block, but she's going to have to get used to it. Like here, I can kind of just lean over and get on from the mounting block, which she is already used to because that's how I get on bareback. But I want her to get used to that weight in the stirrup a little bit from this height, um, so that I can get on her with this most of the time, and then if I do need to get on from the ground, that I can. But I do prefer to do the mounting block, but I just like to do this a little bit, like a little bit of weight, I come off, a little bit of weight in the stirrup, a little bit of weight over her back, and then I come off. So nice gradual process. Like here I'm putting it together so she's kind of used to some weight in the stirrup, and I had been leaning over, so I add those two things together. So I clicked while she was standing there with my weight on the stirrup, and then give her her reward here, and she's just looking for more rewards, which is totally fine with me. Looking back at this though, I definitely should have worked with her more on being quiet and more calm and relaxed with the food. So that was something that I should have worked on with her. That's not just a like a thing that comes along with positive reinforcement training. That was my thing of being new to it and not understanding it completely, because now and you'll see her newer videos, like she's just very relaxed. So one of those problems was I was feeding her too high of a value of a reinforcer, so right now she's eating alfalfa pellets. Um, and then the other thing is that I didn't associate the rider super well, and like getting fed from her back, so she was a little bit anxious about getting the food while someone was on her back or in that position. So those were both my fault, not hers. So now I'm going to do that same thing from the other side. Now, I don't ever get on from the right side with the saddle. I'm just not that graceful. As you'll see here while I'm kind of doing some desensitizing, I'm not super graceful as far as like getting in with my right foot in the stirrup and then getting on. So I'm going to practice that here just because I want her to be like experienced with it. So if I do need to get on from this side for whatever reason, if we're on a trail ride, whatever, she's used to it. It's the same thing. She's got a positive history with it. I do want that, but that's not something that I do every day. So if I am riding her, like occasionally I'll get on from the right side, like from the fence or from the mounting block or whatever, but I don't usually use the stirrup. Here she's just kind of looking for food because like I was talking about earlier, she's been now she's associated like when I get on with getting her food, and she's really excited about that. As you can see, like spits like coming out of her mouth, like she's way too excited about that. But she's not worried about, oh my gosh, something's on my back. She's just more worried about having the food, which isn't good either. But I rather have that than she's scared that I'm getting on her back. But so the little side note about this, so if I do get on, it'll be like that from the right side where I just kind of sat on real quick. I will do that like if I'm on trail ride or um, we're mounting from a different location, whatever. I just want to make sure that she has that skill and it's in there and she's generalized and it's positive experience. But sometimes people get on from the left, sometimes they get on from the right. But since I'm not super athletic, I do get on from the left most of the time. So, but just in this beginning phase, I want her to make sure that she understands from both sides. So, and if that's something you want to work on later on and you want to do more from the right side, I would just add that in. But for me, that's what I do, and I just like to be really thorough on both sides and make sure that she's cool with the mounting process and feeling the stirrups move and hearing them move and feeling my weight in the saddle, because that's going to be different than just her wearing the saddle itself. So that's really important for me. Now I can just kind of stand up there and pet on her for a bit, and then I will hop off the other side, which is also important because I want to make sure she can see, again, just like I did with her originally bareback, as I can get on one side and get off the other. So I just wanted to make sure that was still in place and she was still cool with that. So, and at this point, I'm just going to have my ground person lead me around. I'm not going to do any steering. She does know some steering, but obviously she's very green. And I just kind of take away all those extra things that she doesn't need to think about right now, and we'll just focus on getting her used to the saddle. So um, that's why I'm back with my ground person. I'm just doing a lot of extra desensitizing here too, and you'll see in the next video I do some a little bit before I do kind of my little ride with my ground person, but not nearly as much. But I just wanted to show all this and show the process. And different horses are going to take different amounts of desensitizing, obviously. Dakota took a lot less than most horses. She's very quiet, she's pretty chill. She didn't really care about the saddle. She didn't really care about me sitting on her too much. You did see in the beginning, like, I feel like it was more uncomfortable than anything. And I should have gone about that in a much better way. But overall, like, she wasn't super bothered by it. As you see with my Mustangs, they're a lot more bothered by it, so it's going to be a lot more broken down and desensitizing to every little piece. So if you need to see that, check out their videos. But again, I'm just repeating that same thing on this left side, getting on with the left stirrup, sitting up there, and then hopping off the other side. So making sure she's super cool with all this, and she looks good with it. Like, her body language seems pretty relaxed. She's got some ears on me. She's listening, but she's got the other one flicking around. She's not moving around too much, like with her head and neck when I get on, just a tiny bit, but she seems pretty relaxed. She doesn't have wide eyes. She doesn't seem super bothered by any of this, so I want to do lots of petting when I'm on her and make sure she's pretty chill. I'm not going to really put like my feet in the stirrups too much. Like, to get on, I will, and then I'll kind of take them off and move my legs around. And she's already used to that with the bareback riding, but I want her to be cool with, like, when my feet do come out, the stirrups swing a little bit, so I can get on without it too and just kind of move around. I like that. She seemed pretty cool. She didn't lift her neck up or anything when I got on. Give her a treat for that. That was really nice. And she's still learning to get a treat under saddle, so that's something that we definitely need to work on. But lots of petting. I want this very positive experience for her. So let her hang out here. And I'm going to cut up the video a little bit because I'm having my ground person just let her have a quick break, let her walk around for a bit, and then I had him bring her back here for me. So I'll just kind of show that because you don't really need to see her walking around, but that's what she was doing between those cuts in the video. So now I'm just going to stay up there a little bit longer than I have been, so I'm not going to come off as quickly as I had and just kind of hang out with her. She's thinking maybe I'll give her a reward because I'm petting on her side, so she's thinking maybe that's a cue for a reward. She hasn't quite mastered that yet. And then I'll have my ground person kind of walk me around here a little bit. I'll move my legs, make sure she's cool with that. And she's already used to, like, me petting her, riding her bareback, so I just want to connect that a little bit and make sure, be like, well, remember this? I pet you when I'm on bareback, so it's the same kind of thing. I think she's just getting a treat, so that's what she's doing here, which you see sometimes anyways when they're expecting a treat, is a little bit of a high head and then lots of turning to see if there's food. And she doesn't understand exactly when the food's coming, so that I think is part of her anxiety. So later on you'll see that whole process to get her a little bit more relaxed with that. So we're just going to take a few steps and then I'm going to hop off. Same kind of process that I did with the bareback. So then I just had him bring her back to the mounting block. I'll do the same thing from the other side. Hop on from that right side, let her hang out, and then we'll walk around a little bit. So same process, nice and chill. And yeah, we did go back some steps because I want him to just lead her around, but I don't need her thinking about steering and doing all this other stuff. And me too, like, as far as me riding her goes, I don't want to have to think about steering her and doing all this. I just want to work on the sensitizing, getting her used to the saddle, and I'll add those things in later. So I like where her head was, and she didn't lift it up in like a tense way. She lifted up and like, oh, is there food over here? Because I was moving my hand on the right side of her. So kind of pet on her and then walk around again. And then I do have my feet out of the stirrups just in case I need to slide off of her if she gets a little worried. But she seems pretty relaxed with the whole process. And the leading is something she's used to too. So it can just make her feel a little bit safer. I'm not doing too much at once with her. That's kind of my ongoing theme here. And I've even since starting her, like, I've probably broken it down a lot more too. I clumped a lot of things together for her just because she was quiet and shouldn't have necessarily done that, but she looks really good. Um, I like how she's kind of looking, seeing maybe if she'll get a reward. I'm totally fine with that. She was nice and chill with the whole process, so that looks great. And I'm just gonna fast forward through here. of me just popping the stirrups up and then unsaddling her. So that is an important part of this is where you unsaddle is important. So kind of in the middle of the pen here, kind of toward the back, but um, I don't want to do it at the gate or worse, like near other horses and stuff like that. So she was really awesome.